as much as these two statements. Now, do you want me to read this again? Jesus said, I am the light that is above them all. I am the all. The all came forth from me, and the all attained to me. Cleave a piece of wood, I am there. Lift up the stone, and you will find me there. You see what he meant? Is it clear? Jesus said, why did you come out into the desert? To see a reed shaken by the wind? And to see a man clothed in soft garments? See, your kings and your great ones are those who are clothed in soft garments, and they shall not be able to know the truth. Well, here in this case, of course what Jesus is saying, he's presenting we'll say the difference between those who place a great deal of credence in the dualistic appearance of man, compared to the way man, capital M, actually is, the absolute truth man, the Christ man. That's what he means in this case. A woman from the multitude said to him, Blessed is the womb which bore thee, and the breast which nourished thee. He said to her, Blessed are those who have heard the word of the Father and have kept it in truth. For there will be days when you will say, Blessed is the womb which has not conceived, and the breasts which have not suckled. Now you know the meaning of that. What Jesus was saying here is that there will come a day, we don't know when, but there will come a day when no longer will there seem to be conception and birth, because it will be known that every man, everyone is an eternal identity, and that every body is the eternal body of that eternal identity. That's what he's saying here. I don't think I need to read that again. That's clear, isn't it? I think so. Jesus said, Whoever has known the world has found the body. What body? The body of light. When you've really known the world, seen through it, for all of the nothingness, the futility that it is, and you really known it. All right. When you let it do its seeming worth to you and for you, then you found the body of light itself. This is what he means. Whoever has known the world has found the body, and whoever has the body, of him the world is not worthy. The things of the world simply, the seeming world of appearance cannot understand even. We don't know what it's all about. Now the images are manifest to man, and the light which is within them is hidden in the image of the light of the Father. Now this is a very interesting and revealing passage here of Jesus. You see, the images are manifest to man, and the light which is within them is hidden in the image. Well, you see, it seems that the bodies the bodies are manifest, they're visible to man, but the light, someone was asking if you can, if you recall, asking if you can walk around and conscious of being this light itself, and yet walk around in this same body. Well, it isn't this same body that most people see, of course. But in any event, I'll start this again so we don't get confused on it. The images are manifest to man, and the light which is within them is hidden in the image. You see, it seems to be hidden within the body. But this isn't all of it. It is hidden in the image of the light of the Father. You see, now, here's Jesus' point in this case. Sometimes, well, for instance, right here, sometimes the light in this room and in the colonial room too will be so brilliant that it seems to conceal everything excepting just the outline of the body itself, just the delineation of the body. That's the light that is God, that is it's so bright. It's that way right now. All I see is just brilliant light, but delineation. Oh, I see delineation. I see features delineated, you understand, even features delineated. But as for the body that walks around, that and is visible, I'm not seeing that at the moment, you see. This is the meaning of this passage. I know exactly what Jesus means here. The images are manifest to man, and the light which is within them is hidden in the images of the light of the Father. It's so brilliant. He will manifest himself, and his image is concealed. He will manifest himself, and his image is concealed by his light. God, the body, God being the body, sometimes is so brilliant, shines through so brilliantly that it seems to conceal. Well, it is doing it right now anyway. That's a fact. Now, would you like me to read that again, or is that clear? It's clear. When you see your likeness, you rejoice. But when you see your images, now this is bodies, of course, but when you see your images, which came into existence before you, which neither die nor are manifested, how much will you bear? What do you know about that? When you see the body, you actually see the body that you were an experienced being before you seem to be born, before you seem to have a born body. That's what this means. You see this. All right. This is the body that dies not. This is the body that is not born. So, this is the body, so that is a manifested, infinite light embodied. And no wonder Jesus said, how much will you bear? It's so great. It's so great. And it's the ecstasy of it. It's the pure ecstasy of it. The knowledge, the realization, the perception, the feeling, the experience of it. Tremendous. Now, do you want me to read that again?
Yeah.
When you see your likeness, you rejoice. But when you see your images, which came into existence before you, which neither die nor are manifested, how much will you bear? Nor are manifested, and that is to the average. How much will you bear? How much joy can you stand without bubbling over here? You see? Adam came into existence from a great power and a great wealth, and yet he did not become worthy of you. For if he had been worthy, he would not have faced or tasted death. See? You know what that means? Jesus knew that Adam should have known better. He should have remembered. He should have known that never was he born, and therefore that never could he die. He should have known enough so that he never tasted death. That's what Jesus meant there. That's why he said, he's not worthy of you who are the Christ, those who know that birthless you are, birthless you remain, deathless you are, deathless you remain. This is what Jesus knew. This is what he's speaking of here. I want us to have a period for questions and answers. Jesus said, wretched is the body which depends upon a body, and wretched is the soul which depends upon these two. Now that's a very interesting statement too. Wretched is the body if it depends upon itself as a born body. We know that. I know all about that wretched kind of a body, you see. And wretched is the soul, yes, the poor so-called born human consciousness, the born soul that suffers and suffers and suffers, which depends upon both the so-called human soul and the so-called human body. That's the meaning of that. Yes, wretched is the body which depends upon a body, and wretched is the soul which depends upon these two. I love this. Come to me, for easy is my yoke, and my lordship is gentle, and you shall find repose for yourselves. Oh yes, it's so easy. That's the beautiful thing. Life is so simple. Life is so simple and so easy and so effortless. And this is what when you realize that you are the Christ, the absolute Christ consciousness itself, you make no effort about anything, not in the least. You just now and then there's another fine point here, and that is that behind this that I've just said, there is no mental effort, no affirmations, no denials, no declaration, just full open consciousness, being. You see what I mean on that? I'd read something like the I read that in the Bible, but it never meant this to me before until I found it in the Gospel according to Thomas in connection with the other things that are revealed in here. They said to him, tell us who thou art, so that we may believe in thee. He said to them, you test the face of the sky and of the earth, and of him who is before your face you have not known, and you do not know to test this moment. All right. Tell us who you are. They were looking at a person named Jesus. That's what he means. You look, I stand before you, said Jesus. You look at me. You judge me by an appearance of being a person. And you don't know enough to see through, to make the real test this moment as to what I am, as to the Christ that I am. This is what he meant here. Now I'll read it again, shall I? They said to him, "Tell us who thou art, so that we may believe in thee." They wanted to believe in a personal Jesus. He wasn't having it. He said to them, "You test the face of the sky and of the earth, and him who is before your face you have not known. You have not known. And you do not know to test this moment." Now can you see his message in that? They were looking at a personal Jesus, and not seeing the Christ. I look at you and do not see the Christ. I'm not seeing you. If I look at you and see a person, I'm not seeing you. I can only see you by seeing the Christ. For the Christ is what you are, the absolute truth. Now can you see? I'm so aware of the necessity of this complete impersonality. Now can you see why I did not want to be on a platform? Why I have not wanted to be conspicuous? Because just to the extent that there may seem to be a person here, it would seem to conceal the impersonal, infinite, absolute Christ that is all that at least should be here. You understand this? This is what I mean. For you I would say see only the Christ, no matter where or what. Look always for the Christ, and you'll always see the Christ. Always. This is the way. Truly, this is the way. The kingdom of the Father is like a woman who has taken a little leaven, has hidden it in dough, and has made large loaves of it. Whoever hath ears to hear. All right. This leaven is the seemingly unseen Christ. It's the life, it's the consciousness, the intelligence, it's the love that cannot be seen by a so-called human eyes, but it is that which is invisible that raises the consciousness that, I don't know the words, but it is that which seems to be invisible. That is the power that enlightens the all of us. You see, it is a leavening agent. It lightens the whole body. Even as it lights the whole body. This is it. Now this next one is of tremendous importance to me, and I'm sure it will be to you too. Jesus said, "The kingdom of the Father is like a woman who was carrying a jar full of meal. While she was walking on a distant road, the handle of the jar broke. The meal streamed out behind her on the road. She did not know. She had noticed no accident. After she came into her house, She put the jar down and found it empty. All right. You know, we go along, seemingly year after year after year, in dualism, doing the best we can, carrying the load of duality on our shoulders. But that's all right. We go on just the same. Because there's nothing else for us to do. There's nothing else we can do. So we go on. And finally, we come to the full realization of the absolute truth of our complete freedom from all heaviness, from all weight, from all burdens. And this freedom is when we have discovered the self. It is all of this duality has simply, it's as though it is drained away, and here we stand in the full glory of our infinitude, fully and completely aware of our freedom, of our complete freedom, of our complete joy, of our peace, of the love that we are, the power that we are, what we are, all that we are, and only that which we are. That's the meaning of that. Curse the meal drained away. It's been all through these years. It's been gradually, seemingly, this duality thing has been draining away until here we stand. Here we stand. So, the kingdom of the Father is like a woman who was carrying a jar full of meal. While she was walking on a distant road, the handle of the jar broke. The meal streamed out behind her on the road. She did not know. She did not know. She had noticed no accident. After she came into her house, she put the jar down. She found it empty. No burden anymore. Wonderful. Is there a wonderful lesson in that? I think so. The disciples said to him, "Thy brethren and thy mother are standing outside." He said to them, "Those here who do the will of my Father, they are my brethren and my mother. These are they who shall enter the kingdom of my Father." Jesus knew very well that he had no human mother, that he was not born of a woman or a man. That's the meaning of that. But that anyone who realizes that he is uncreated is birthless. This is the kingdom of the Father. The consciousness that is God is the kingdom of the Father. Anyone who realizes that he is birthless, why, he is already the consciousness that is God, the kingdom of the Father. That's what that means. They showed Jesus a gold coin and said to him, this is not so important, but I'll read it here, and said to him, "Caesar's men ask taxes from us." He said to them, "Give the things of Caesar to Caesar, give the things of God to God, and give me what is mine." That's the important statement there, the only one in there. Give me what is mine. All right. Let the dualists have their dualism. Let those who wish to place dependence upon anything other than their own God selves, let them go. Don't try to do anything about it. You can't do anything about it anyway, so just let it go. And without any criticism or anything, just there it is. About give your Christ self and maintain your Christ self as it is. Give me what is mine. Maintain the Christ self that you are, regardless of how much dualism you run up against or how much the fact that the overwhelming opinion seems to be dualistic. Let it go. It has nothing to do with you at all. Not a thing to do with you. You are what you are, the Christ, and you know it. That's it. Now, in this next one, Jesus uses the word hate, and I'm sure the translation is authentic, but Jesus never meant the word hate in the way that we interpret it at all. He was utterly incapable, and is utterly incapable of hating anyone or anything. Jesus said, "Whoever does not hate his father and his mother in my way will not be able to be a disciple to me." I'll read the rest of it. "And whoever does not love his father and his mother in my way will not be able to be a disciple to me. For my mother," and then there's a blank there. I don't know what he said after that. "For my mother, but my true mother gave me life." I think that's very interesting. Now, when he says, hate his father and his mother in my way, what he really means there is it is necessary to recognize that we are not born of human parents. That's what he's bringing out there, you see. But then, because Jesus was and is the love that he is, he says that whoever does not love his father and his mother in my way, you see, will not really realize that he is fully the Christ. Well, now, really, this is what we were bringing out yesterday, is that regardless of the fact that we recognize that we are not born of human parentage, nonetheless, we do love our so-called mothers and fathers. We do appreciate them. We do honor them, and because that's right. That's as it should be. Even though we are aware that they're not born of human parentage. It's normal to love the ones called our mothers and fathers. This is as it should be. But we don't have to, because we love them, we don't have to feel that they're responsible for our being here, or that they created us, because we know that we are uncreated. But you know, we also know that they are uncreated. They are uncreated. They were never under the law any more than we are. The law of born, so-called human beings, not under that kind of a law. Blessed is the man who knows in which part of the night the robbers will come in, so that he will rise and collect his, and then there's a blank, and gird up his loins before they come in. Well, what Jesus is talking about here, we do have to be alert to duality. It'll seem to attempt to creep in, no matter how sincere we are or how convinced we are that the absolute is the truth. It has subtle little ways, as I said this morning, of creeping in, and so we'll just kind of keep an eye out for it, you know. So, when you make the two one, you shall become sons of man, capital M. And when you say mountains be moved, it will be moved. Now, what does it mean to make the two one? It means when you realize that the invisible and the visible are identically the same. When you realize that the hand and the hand are identically the same, you then have arrived at the revelation that you truly are the uncreated, birthless, deathless Christ. And then you are the power that can say to this mountain, no matter what may be you attempt to say, be thou removed. I know you not. What is this to me? Be thou removed. You see? When you make the two one, you shall become sons of man. That is, you shall realize, and with man capitalized here, you see, this simply means that you shall realize that you are a man, that you are the Christ itself. When you say, mountain be moved, it will be moved. The kingdom is like a shepherd who had 100 sheep. One of them went astray, which was the largest. He left behind 99. He sought for the one until he found him. Having tired himself out, he said to the sheep, I love thee more than 99. Well, the one that got away, was the one that concerned Jesus the most, because the one that got away was the one who doubted the most. Thomas was his favorite disciple, you know, and Thomas was the doubter. But Thomas was the one in whom Jesus confided, and he wasn't about to let Thomas get away. Now, whoever has found the world and become rich, let him deny the world. Jesus said, the heavens will be rolled up and the earth in your presence, and he lives on. Well, here, in this case, he's not saying that one should live in poverty or anything like that. He's simply saying, don't give it the power. Don't give it the power to influence you and to make your life really a materialistic kind of life, a dual kind of life, is what he's saying here. And then he goes on, the heavens will be rolled up if you maintain. There are those, I was talking to a man who came up last night, who evidently is a man who has amassed a great deal of what the world calls wealth, but that isn't important to him at all. What is important to him is the absolute truth, you see. And this is what Jesus is getting at here. Let the thing that is the most important be the most important. Well, then he goes back again and says, whoever finds himself, of him the world is not worthy. Well, that's the same thing we've had before. Once we discover ourselves, why, the world, well, it won't recognize. It isn't ready to recognize. Woe to the flesh which depends upon the soul. Woe to the soul which depends upon the flesh. All right, what this is saying here, that it is too bad, really, for a so-called born body to depend and to believe in and depend upon a so-called born human consciousness. What the human consciousness, so-called human consciousness, depicts and represents to him. Accepting that as real, the human consciousness is real, you see, as genuine, you see. But woe to the soul which depends upon the flesh. So he just turns it around then and says, it's too bad for the so-called human consciousness. There seems to be dependence upon a body of a material body in order to be conscious. This is what he means here. Is that clear? Now, when will the kingdom come? They asked. Jesus said, it will come by expectation. Now, I said you always get what you expect. When the kingdom, the consciousness comes, when we are so absolutely, I mean the illumined consciousness, I mean the full Christ illumined consciousness comes. Because we are, even though we may not have experienced it, may not experience it for, we don't know when it will come. But at the same time, we are so absolutely convinced of the forever fact of the present, and of being the present, of just the one infinite, indivisible one, that we expect nothing else but that. We expect nothing else other than because the revelation is here, we expect the full and complete visible manifestation of that which has been revealed. This is what it means. See here? See there. But the kingdom of the Father is spread upon the earth, and men do not see it. Well, haven't we been saying it? The kingdom of God is right here. Has been all the while. Always will be. And we are it. But most people don't see it. There it is again, you see. Simon Peter said to them, let Mary go from among us, because women are not worthy of the life. Now there's orthodoxy talking, you see. Jesus said, see, I shall lead her, so that I will make her male, that she too may become a living spirit resembling you males. For every woman who makes herself male will enter the kingdom of heaven. Well, what Jesus was bringing out here was a complete equality, you see. But there is no difference as far as he can, because it was customary in those days, of course, for the male to be vastly superior, you know, to the female. And so Jesus had to state it in this way. But what he was pointing out was, because he didn't want them to dismiss Mary from the room, he knew that she was right for her to remain. But what he was really pointing out was the fact that neither one is superior. Neither the male nor the female is superior. Because they are one indivisible, equally present consciousness. That's what he was pointing out here. So, that's it. And I do hope that every one of you gets a copy of this. Of course, you'll do as you like. Everyone is free, but whatever is right for you is that which you will do. All right, now, do you have some questions? We have about 20 minutes to go. Yes? Well, do you believe really that Jesus was ever buried in that tomb? Do you believe that Jesus was confined within that tomb? Well, then he wasn't really resurrected, was he? You see, no. You see. The resurrection and the ascension are the same thing. It's symbolic, really. Jesus was never even on that cross.
On what?
He was never on that cross. No, why, for goodness sake. he stood there beside his mother and was quite amused, excepting that he felt sorry for his mother, you know. But he was never on that cross. He never was buried in that tomb. How could the Christ, the consciousness that is the Christ, be buried in a tomb anyway? How could the consciousness that is the Christ be nailed to a cross? Heavens, this is impossible. Symbolically, the resurrection means what we are experiencing here. It's like a rising above all duality, above all of the so-called laws of the world. That's all the so-called laws of born man. That really is the resurrection, and that is the ascension. Completely above and beyond all of this. And this is complete freedom. You know, Jesus said, my kingdom is not of this world. Well, my consciousness, that's what he meant. The consciousness that I am is not of the so-called world of personal born men, and therefore I'm not subject to any of the so-called duality. I'm not subject to any of the so-called laws of nature, laws that are pertaining to born man at all. They have nothing to do with the Christ that I am. This is what he meant when he said, my kingdom is not of this world. And it still isn't of this world. So, well, of course he wasn't. Well, frankly, to tell you the truth, I think Christmas is a wonderful time. I really do. Not in celebration of a birth that never took place, but because at Christmas time there is a oneness of spirit with people, don't you know? Kind of a community kind of thing. It's a loving, unselfish time. I don't care, even though it seems to be a human thing. I love to see unselfishness. I love to see love expressed anywhere, anyway, under any circumstances. And I think that the Christmas time, for that reason alone, is a happy and wonderful time, because so much love is manifested. Don't you think so? Yes. And yes, I think we can. I don't say celebrate it. I say observe it, as not as one day or even one holiday, but just observe it as an observance of just gentleness and unselfishness and all that goes along with it. Don't you think? That's the way I do it. I don't send Christmas cards or anything like that, but I do. I enjoy the feeling of love that's in the air, you know. And I love to see the lights and the brightness and the beauty of the decorations and all of that. What's wrong with that? I think it's a happy time. All right, anyone else?
What is the meaning of the word focalization?
Oh, you didn't know?
Well, I have an idea. That's what you're focused upon, attention?
Well, no, not exactly. I guess then you're not familiar with the first book of the 1966 class notes, are you?
I've read it.
Uh-huh. You have read it? Uh-huh. Then you'll understand it this way. You take you remember that ocean, infinite ocean of living life? And we said that the eddy itself, every form, we might say, is an eddy. Every form is an eddy in this light, or as this light, or this light, or whatever you want to call it. You remember that? All right. Then the light that constantly circles and surges and reaches like this, you know, and then it's new and goes on, and yet it forms itself, continues to form itself. It doesn't reach something that's a static body here and flow through and then go on. but it reaches here and focalizes itself here, you see. But it's a constant focalization. It's a focal point of the, it's a constant, I would say, focal point of the infinite all. And now, of course, your consciousness, you may find your consciousness that has nothing to do, that is, well, yes, consciousness has everything to do with the body, but you may not be conscious at the moment of the body, but still find that your consciousness, your attention is focalized, you see. I used to say brought to a focal point, but I didn't like that focal point business as well as focalized, because it seemed to make it more of a kind of a static thing. And the word focalization came. But you may find suddenly that you may be sitting in your living room and find that your consciousness is focalized in Washington, D.C. You see. You may find it is focalized in Paris or anywhere, or on the moon, for that matter. Why not? You're everywhere. And wherever you find your attention, and you're aware of what's there, and what's going on there, your consciousness is focalized right there. It was already there, of course. It's just like, well, now look here. Here are these beautiful flowers. Well, there's never a moment that I'm not aware that they're here. I'm aware of it, believe me. But my attention isn't focalized on them all the time. You see what I mean? That doesn't mean that they're out of my consciousness. And I'm not out of theirs either. Neither are you. Well, I will tell you, spirit, soul, idea, really mean the same thing, you know. Now, in a way, you take a spirit, to me, just the word of itself does not have the meaning that the word consciousness does. You see, because consciousness is our awareness that we exist. Consciousness is our awareness of being. And the word spirit, well, we used to speak of spirit a great deal, and it has a lovely sound and all of that, but really and truly, what does it mean to you? If you have a question, what does the word spirit itself mean to you? What does it mean? No, spirit. Yes, yes. Yes, spirit is light, consciousness is light, you see. Anywhere that you could use the word spirit, you could use the word consciousness, and then, but to me, but that's just my feeling. It's up to you to use spirit if you like, you see. But to me, the word consciousness brings it closer. That's because I know I'm conscious, you see. You know you are conscious, and the word consciousness just brings it closer. Now, what was the other? Soul? Well, it's the same thing. Soul is consciousness. That's what you call the soul. Is your very consciousness that you exist, and as this room gets any brighter, I'm going out through the ceiling. Really and truly, it's so very bright. And how glorious. Now, for idea. You know, in Christian Science, we used to use the word idea a very great deal. And I think it fulfilled a wonderful purpose at the time. You know, it was fine. We use it as mind and its idea. Mind and its idea. And there is an author, I understand, well, it doesn't matter, but there are some books written by a recent author in which he speaks of an idea evolving from mind. An idea evolves from mind, and that's the general opinion, you see. Well, to me, it couldn't be that way, because that would be intelligence, and then the idea as something that came from the intelligence. But to me, if there is such a thing as idea, the idea has to be the intelligence itself, or there's no idea, you see. So I like better the idea, they consider man to be the idea of mind, you see. But you know, I like better consciousness identified. Consciousness identified. That's right here. That's right now. I like it better, don't you? Because you're not going to get the identity out of consciousness, believe you me, if you know that the identity is consciousness identified. How are you going to get it out? Are you going to get rid of it? You aren't. You can't. You see? But idea, yes, mind and its idea, I can't. And as for idea evolving, with no criticism of any books, but idea evolving from mind, that to me is a very bad representation. Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's right. Yes, it is the Christ consciousness, but it is the Christ consciousness identified. That is that's what you are. That's what man is, you see. The Christ consciousness identified. Anyone else? Yes? I don't hear you very well. There's a cooler on back here. Well, that has to do, my dear, with the line that's called. It would take quite a while. It really would take about, I would say, an hour to go into that, because it requires a great deal of many words to explain it. But that has to do with what they call the Lion of the tribe of Judah, you see. But that will be explained. That I've had a word or two on that. So I'm sorry, I just can't go into it. And if I went into it partially, it would only seem to be confusing, you see, and I wouldn't like to do that. So, almost at the end. Do you remember how the quotation started? Beg pardon? Page 55. Oh, yes. All right. When will the kingdom come? Jesus said, it will not come by expectation. They will not say, see here or see there. But the kingdom of the Father is spread upon the earth, and men do not see it, you see. Well, it comes both ways. It comes by expectation, and it comes without. I'm glad she asked this question just the same, because it gives me an opportunity to clarify it farther. It's a good thing, and anyway, it's so much fun. But, you see, if we continue to expect the kingdom of God to come later, it's what we have said before. Yes, we are so absolutely convinced that it is to come, that we are to realize it, of course, that it can't help but be manifest, that is, because it's already here, you see. That is the expectation that makes it manifest. But it does not come, and will not come, through the expectation of it becoming the kingdom of God at some later date. You see? It's, because always, as we've said, it puts it into the past someplace, you see. So, it will not come by expectation. You see, and then he goes on to say, why? If we keep postponing it and saying it'll come tomorrow or next year or something like that, he says the kingdom of the Father is spread upon the earth right now. It's right here, right now. But we don't seem to see it. Now, is that clear, my dear? Well, thank you very much. And I do thank you in laughing. I was not laughing at you. I was laughing really because I think it's so wonderful, so perfectly wonderful, that you should be so utterly frank about this. I really do. Thank you so much, my dear. All right. Now, anyone else?
Do you consider that Jesus has greater understanding and clearer understanding and truth than anyone else?
Yes, I do. Yes. I'll tell you why I do. Jesus was, what he did, what he was was a far greater manifestation, a visible manifestation of what he knew and knew himself to be than anyone else that I know, really. Lao Tzu, of course, was the very first great, well, I'd call him absolutist, that we have any knowledge of, that we have any history of. He was just tremendously absolute. But Lao Tzu. But he was the great Chinese. But he, of course, so far as we have any record, he didn't perform any of what they call the so-called healing. He didn't prove. Wasn't the proof of the manifestation. It wasn't like that with him. He just knew this absolute truth and gave it really as long as he felt that it was fulfilling any purpose, and then he felt that the world wasn't ready for it, and so he started to leave China, and then they begged him to leave something in writing as to what he had seen and given, and he was at the gate, and he sat down and wrote a little bit, of what he had seen, and he went out through the gate and was not seen again. But he was so far as I know, in this world history, he was the first real and perfectly marvelous absolutist. Then, of course, there was Shankara. I could go into a whole list of them. There are many others, too. Great spiritual life, but none of them, so far as I know, were they proved the manifestation of this so-called healing, we call it, miracles and that kind of thing, that was Jesus. And there is another point, too. As I've said, I was studying Buddhism when I was a little girl, because I couldn't find, I wanted God, that's all. I just wanted God. But I was looking everywhere. But do you know, in all the studying that I have done, in the different areas of religion and so forth, I have found none where such great love, such great humility was manifested and is manifested as in that blessed Jesus Christ.